My beloved Madridistas, welcome back to Madrid. Welcome back to the channel. Okay, momentum is turning, people. Momentum is shifting. We are coming off back-to-back victories. Barça slipped up the other day. We're top of La Liga. We are in pole position to get past Benfica in the Champions League. If we can get a win tomorrow, and by the way, Pamplona, El Sadar is not an easy, historically not an easy place to play. But if we could get a victory tomorrow, I think it would completely cement a dramatic reversal in terms of sentiment, morale, and momentum going into the latter part of the season. So it is a very, very big match. Okay, to have this discussion, I thought it would be fun to invite somebody that I think you guys have probably come across. His name is Dave. He has a channel called Dave Talks Madrid. Really lovely guy. We've kind of become friends in the last few weeks. Very nice guy. And I thought it would be fun to sort of discuss with him the state of the squad, his thoughts on the match tomorrow, Benfica, the Vini incident, all that kind of stuff. Again, I'm actually going to meet him in person for the first time in the Benfica match. He's coming to Madrid for that match. We're going to meet in person. But like I say, a great Madridista, very, very passionate, and I love his content. So I kind of, encourage all of you to subscribe to his channel. I'll put a link in the description so you can do that. But anyway, without further ado, here is my conversation with Dave from Dave Talks Madrid regarding all of these issues. All right, let's get started. All right, beloved Madridistas, welcome back. Okay, like I mentioned, very excited to have this chat with Dave and get his take on stuff. So first things first, how are you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm very good. I'm excited. I'm excited for once this season to see Real Madrid have this resurgency, this winning record in La Liga, Champions League looking decent, the players looking like they want to play for the team. Yeah. There's so many different variables when it comes to Real Madrid. We know that, and up and down seasons and how different stages can affect the season itself. But I'm excited. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Me too. It's like, who knew that we'd be able to, I was just saying in the little intro I did before we started that, if we can win tomorrow, I think that it really I think it cements a really serious turnaround, in terms of morale, sentiment, momentum, all that kind of stuff, So let's start. So I want to start with the Benfica match because I got so much stick in the comment section because I didn't think we played that well. It's just, my opinion. I was doing a watch along and, when you do the watch along, you're like micro analyzing every touch, every control, every pass. That's I don't know. I mean, I thought the first 30 minutes were really kind of slow and sluggish. Then we had like 10 really good minutes at the end of the first half where we could have scored more. And then the second half, I thought, the goal was amazing. And we had a few good minutes after the goal in possession, like where we were in possession, but like, it looked like we could create opportunities. But then the last 20, 25 minutes, it felt like we were just kind of playing for the clock. It just felt like we were using the possession just to kind of control the match. But it didn't look to me like great football. So I got a huge amount of stick for that. And I'll say, look, we deserve to win. I thought definitely we could have scored more goals and we were the better side. But I also thought Benfica was really soft. Like they didn't look like the team we played last month. So that kind of also factors a little bit into my thinking. But I don't know. That's my thought. But I got absolutely massacred in the comment section. So, well, I don't know. Tell me, from 1 to 10, I mean, I don't know. What did you think about that match? Or like, what grade would you give them, like from 1 to 10?
Yeah, I'll definitely give Real Madrid a solid 7 out of 10. It wasn't perfection by any means. Yeah. Sometimes I felt that Real Madrid were too sluggish. They were a bit lethargic in terms of their passing routine and how they were trying to create angles to open up Benfica. That's the main thing. When we look at Mourinho's side and how they line up with pretty much a 4-2-3-1 formation. That's how they play. And those wingers, they come back and they drop obviously into 2 banks of 4. Sometimes they act like 6 defenders and is very, very difficult to break down. That's why sometimes I gave the team credits because it looked different than games under Xabi Alonso. Like, for example, we're facing this weekend Osasuna, who conveniently at the beginning of the season gave us an absolute horrendous time trying to break them down. And when I looked at Benfica's match and seeing Valverde and Trent mostly operating down the right channel, and breaking the defensive line by splitting passes directly through the defense. It was excellent to see sometimes. And Mbappe was in great positions also. However, when I looked at Mbappe's positioning, sometimes it looked a bit off. It looked like he wasn't going to get to the ball. It looked like he couldn't produce the final touch to get the killer blow that I wanted to see from Real Madrid. And then we had to obviously rely on Vini with one moment of magic that I screamed the house out.
I mean,
neighbors didn't even know.
That's I totally agree. I mean, and that's Vini. It's funny because Vini, right when you're starting to get pissed off, right when you're starting to get irritated at him, he does something magnificent. So this is the nature of the beast. But man, when he wants, he is just such a phenomenal player. But yeah, I kind of also agree that Kylian felt a little bit disconnected to me. He always seemed a little bit isolated. He always had a ton of defenders around him. I don't know. He felt a little bit detached, kind of from the flow of the game. I agree. But listen, I mean, at the end of the day, these matches can be really cagey, right? Like in the Champions League. Yeah, exactly. What you want to do is not make a mistake, and you want the win, and you really don't care that much about playing pretty football. So I completely understand it, and I thought we pulled off the job, But yeah, that's
I looked at Benfica, and Mourinho, he set up the team completely different. The intensity was gone, the attacking press was gone, the midfield organization was gone at Benfica. So Real Madrid had a majority of possession. We knew they were going to try and slow the game down when needed to, so the game can be more effective in the last periods where Benfica are just chasing shadows. They're not really putting themselves on the front foot or applying the gas to try and score a goal. And apart from the very first 5 to 10 minutes, I thought the reason I said it was a great performance is because Real Madrid managed the game and the expectations well going into an away leg at the Estadio Luz. So that kind of stadium, the hostility of the fans, and especially after the whole debacle, which we'll probably talk about later on here, the whole situation was just built for Real Madrid to be Real Madrid in that kind of moments. Where we just coast game and we don't look elsewhere. We just put our blinkers on. We're saying 1-0. We'll take it back to the Bernabeu. So we can have me and you can have a nice time in the Bernabeu. Now we're in an advantageous position. Exactly.
No, I agree. I mean, it was I think if I had to find words to describe it, I would say it was a mature and professional performance.
Yes.
It was an efficient, intelligent performance. For sure, no doubt. And by the way, so I want to ask you about the Vini incident, because when I was doing the watch along, we had the volume off. So like for the first 2 minutes, I'm going, Vini, shut up. Like what? Shut up. Like, why do you always do this? And then of course my tech guy was with me, and he's like, no, Miguel, look what happened. And we found out that, he was being sort of insulted racially, which is a really big deal. And I want to get your take on it, but just I want to mention one thing, because someone in the comment section said, oh, you didn't spend enough time talking about the Vini thing. Let me just say this. I've made 4 videos in the last 2 years. 4 separate videos dedicated entirely to the issue of racism in Vini. So it is an issue that I take very seriously, and I've defended Vini a lot. So what's your take on that whole thing?
Well, so for people who don't know, who's watching this video, I was brought up in London. I'm obviously half Spanish and from my mother's side, and I was brought up in London in a very, very difficult area in terms of everything surrounding the whole situation where I was living, and poverty, and in a council block. Obviously social housing, all that usual stuff that you see probably in Madrid as well, in a lot of different areas in Madrid, if you are from Madrid or if you've brought up. So when my friends from when I was young, there weren't many white English people around, or they weren't. It was majority, a lot of the actual social housing in London, and the backgrounds are from multicultural, different backgrounds. You have Asian, you have Afro-Caribbean, you have different races. And that was my friends group when I was young. And that is essentially my whole cultural upbringing, is where you listen to music, you listen to different cultures, you listen to everything that's going on in terms of that social housing economic area.
Yeah.
And you taste different foods, different cuisines and so forth. And some people, I have no idea why they have to spew racism in that manner on the football pitch. And I was like, when if somebody did that to my friend in the street, I'm losing the plot.
I'm with you.
I'm losing the plot. And
100%.
Not just from upbringing in Kennington, in London, but also sometimes I honestly, and it makes me kind of emotional when I say this as well, it sometimes made me disgusted to be Spanish in some aspects as well, because it's ingrained in the country.
Yes.
And that's the main problem. This is not just Portugal we're talking about here, because it happened in Portugal. In Benfica, it's like that.
Absolutely.
But it's in the country. Yeah. And through the years that we saw the Spanish national team, when they played off against England, that historic moment where pretty much every black player in England's team got booed. It makes me it made me cry, bro. I'm telling you, they're disgusted to see it and hear it in that moment.
It's awful. I remember going to a friendly in the Bernabeu, and it was Spain-England, and this must have been 20 plus years ago. And when a black English player would get the ball, and I'm not talking 3,000 or 4,000 people. I'm talking like half the stadium started like making monkey noises. I was so shocked, and I was there with English friends. I was so embarrassed. I didn't know what to say, but there is a sort of there's a passive permissiveness. It's kind of like it's racism that it's not, I mean, it's not like particularly violent, but there's a permissiveness about sort of passive racism. And you even hear it sometimes in the media, and in any other country, it would be such a big deal. But Spain still has yet to tackle this properly. But I was really happy to see UEFA intervene and at least stop the match and record it and make a note of it. And I'm very happy the world is talking about it.
Yeah, this is why I like the young Madridistas coming through also, because they're brought up in a very socially diverse, a very group essentially in schools, and when they're growing up and they're watching Vinicius play, and these are the players that they're growing up with these players. A lot of the players that we used to watch in terms of like different cultures, different backgrounds, from Roberto Carlos to Karen Burr to Seedorf. These are the players that we grew up watching. I've got Cunningham's kit here. I
love
sent
it
it to you earlier.
I love it.
The one with the Zanussi. And I'm going to wear that in the second leg, because
fantastic.
I feel sometimes Real Madrid fans, they need to know the history and how he was the very first black player to ever play for Real Madrid. And from there, he opened and paved waves for future black players to play for Real Madrid. That's why we have your Vinis. This is why we have, obviously, and this is not just in Real Madrid. This is world football. This is European football.
Yeah.
So we are talking about players that make huge differences. And for that player to go on the pitch, and describe him in that manner, and I saw what he was saying to the referee, and I'm not going to repeat it because I hate saying the word. The situation is that this guy, and I keep on saying it, that the punishments are not large enough. Like lifetime ban from football immediately. Don't even bother anywhere else.
I agree.
Lifetime bans. Even I said in my live watch along, handcuff him and take him off the flipping pitch.
Take him out. Yeah,
because that's how I felt at that moment. Yeah. It's like this is the punishments are not large enough. Oh, fining the fans or fining the club or an empty seating stadium for one match doesn't make a difference. They're still going to do it. How about an empty seater stadium for the whole season?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I mean, I just can't believe that in the year 2026 this kind of crap still goes on. I'm a universalist. Where somebody is born and who they're born to and it's so how can you ever judge somebody for something arbitrary? You judge people for who they are as human beings. But anyway, we're on the same page on this issue. So
absolutely,
but we had to, I think we had to, for the record, make sure that we discuss that because it is a really serious issue. But okay, so let's go back to football now. And so what if, generally speaking, like where do you think you've seen the most improvement? Is it sort of offensively, defensively? Like where do you see most of the improvement in the last sort of couple of matches?
For me personally, I see Arbeloa's team having better defensive structure. That's the main thing that I look for in a team. Because in La Liga, you can have the best attack in the world. And if you don't have the best defense in the world, you can suffer at the hands of lower league opposition. We've seen it already this season in Barcelona.
Absolutely.
We've seen them falter against teams like Girona when they expected to go in the Catalan derby and win that game and they lost. So this is the situation, is that if you don't have a defense, the teams in La Liga, they can pass around you and open you up very easily. And your defense will have no answers for that. So the main thing that I've seen Arbeloa do is, first of all, get the defensive shape back in order. That's fine. Rudiger, Dean Housen is the perfect partnership. You have one leader, and then you have one young gun coming into the Madrid squad and trying to fill in these boots. Then, obviously, we have a very good left back in Carreras, and then we have the right back in Trent. And the main thing also is, and I don't know why Xabi Alonso didn't really do this more often, especially obviously maybe Trent was injured, but having Valverde and having Camavinga screen also the left back and right back positions helps us a lot, because if Carreras wants to overlap on the final third of the pitch and go on the outside of Vini, and likewise with Trent on the outside of Mbappe, or for example, if Mbappe was going out right, or Valverde, and the exchange in a 1-2 give and go, then you're seeing these two players cover for whoever's going up front. If Valverde, Trent stays back. If Camavinga decides to bomb up front, then Carrera stays back. So they have a great synergy, and that is mainly down to the manager. I think Arbeloa is tactically doing a decent job, but also managing the players. That's what Xabi Alonso didn't do. Xabi Alonso coached, trying to implement tactics to make Real Madrid work. But when you have your players not on side, and maybe I was at fault for this, and I apologize also for calling out the players for not respecting the manager, sometimes they get frustrated. They're going to be frustrated in matches. And we got annoyed after that Celta Vigo loss, because that
was it for me. I mean,
it was done. It was Xabi Alonso was out before he even knew it. So this whole situation where you're seeing the defensive structure take place, and also, surprisingly enough, I've got to say, is that Vini looks like he can achieve the 6 out of 7s out of 10s performances every single game. One time you will see Vini on an 8 out of 10. Sometimes you see him a 3 out of 10, 2 out of 10. And that's the issue with Vini. Vini was very inconsistent, but now he's feeding and playing to the system. With his two up top, with Mbappe and Vini have a tendency to drift off to the left-hand side as well. Leave Mbappe centrally, and then you can have Valverde opening on the right-hand side, which Valverde done very successfully, by the way, in the Champions League, especially against Liverpool. That final, that cut-through ball across to Vini was excellent. I like Valverde because he's direct. He's very direct.
I love him. His runs are fantastic.
Exactly. So for me, defensive, the players are on his side. They hugging him. They enjoying him. Look, I don't care if the manager has to hold towels or hold their shoes when they come out of the flipping
whatever it takes.
Changing rooms, whatever. I remember Zidane's ritual every match before. He used to go bang, a little hand grasp with all the players before they walked out. That's what a manager's supposed to do. You're supposed to have your faith in your players, not be internally slating them for what they're doing. And he handles the press conferences really well. Everything, blame is on him, blame is on him, blame is him. Fine. Sometimes the blame is on the players, but if the manager shoulders that burden, then you know what? That's what I like Arbeloa is doing. Yeah, no, I agree. He's quite low key, and he doesn't take protagonism. He's sort of and I think that if you have a manager that's very calm, I think that you transmit that to the players, and
And Arbeloa so far is just a very low key demeanor, very soft spoken. His press conferences are always very correct, very polite, very, I kind of like that. And historically, Real Madrid always does better with managers that have that kind of quiet, low profile. And by the way, I agree with you that
had that very calm. Ancelotti,
Zizou,
exactly.
Yeah, I totally. And defensively, I agree that's probably one of the biggest improvements visibly. And I think the addition of Rudiger coming back, I think has been really, really important. And I think Trent, on the right is also, really having an impact. And then in terms of lingering vulnerabilities, where do you think we still have sort of lingering weaknesses?
I see the weaknesses in. I mentioned about the defense is great.
Yeah.
However, there's still a lack of identity in our press. I think the press is still very disjointed. I see sometimes teams could bypass the midfield and then the defense is just backpedaling without no cover. Yeah. Obviously, Tchouameni's there to help and really just shield the defense, protect the defense at all costs as your defensive midfielder. So for me, the defense and the midfield, they need to just tighten a little bit, not allow too much gap in the middle of the park, because when you do that, you have teams freedom to reign over their passing interchanges in between the midfield line and the defensive line. Right. We need to be closing that a little bit. I see it too far apart, too sparse. And what happens is when we get caught in transition, then it causes difficulty because we're always backpedaling. Yeah. We're not really applying ourselves too much in that area. So I would like to see it. Obviously, if I talk about maybe future transfers, I know Tchouameni is a great defensive midfielder. Yeah. But someone who's just got a bit more tactical awareness, when to slow the ball down, pass. Obviously, Toni Kroos, we always keep mentioning him and what he brought to the team. That kind of player, the ilk of Toni Kroos is missing at the moment, and we need him in the squad. So that kind of regista, or a kind of a deep line playmaker who can just calm everything down. And also I completely agree. And I think, look, Tchouameni, I think has been super, super consistent. And I think he does everything by himself, though.
As a defensive pivot, I think he does a good job. But he doesn't have like his long distribution is not very good, and he doesn't even try it very often. So everything he tends to do
he tries it for France, though. He does it for France. He doesn't.
Well, I know that always happens. You see them do it with their national side, and they don't do it with you. I know, it's so frustrating. Yeah, and in terms of press, I agree with you, because the other day against Benfica, I thought we defended really well from a positional standpoint, but there was a lot of moments where we weren't quite biting enough for my taste. Like I like it when, if you're standing in front of a player that has the ball and everybody's positioned well defensively, it's not enough to just stand in front of him. Like, I like to see players poke, like try to get close to him, try to stick your foot in, and we were a little bit kind of too, settled too far back. So I agree that the press could be a little bit more intense for my taste as well. And then, so in terms of the match tomorrow, I'm trying to remember do we have any players that can't play for cards or stuff like that? I can't really remember.
I can't off the top of my head. I don't think so. I think it's going to be the same team. Yeah. I think just the bare bones of the team is going to be the same. So just answer that question.
Yeah, I think so too. And I kind of like the 4-4-2 a little bit more, to be honest. I think the 4-4. Yeah, it's I think we're more control of the midfield, and I also think it gives Kylian and Vini more space, to kind of move around and drift to the middle and all that. So for tomorrow, we're probably expecting something similar, right?
I think the 4-4-2 is very versatile as well, because you can play the flat four, right, which we saw over the years. Obviously, a lot of managers do over the years, but we can also play the diamond as well, which gives us versatility in central midfield areas, and picking out those triangles that we can operate well with Trent overlapping. It gives us a range of different passing movements that we can operate. So I definitely think that Real Madrid with the flat four, and obviously the diamond as well, or the 4-3-1-2, where you have your central midfielders, and they're all very good. They're probably the most physical defensive trio in midfield that you could probably take in world football at the moment. The Valverde, Tchouaméni, and Camavinga, they are
that's a lot of muscle.
If you add Bellingham into that equation as well, it could be. Yeah. But I think also there's a factor that Bellingham has been injured, and the issue is that people are looking at this team and saying, does Bellingham really fit into the mold of this team as well?
I know.
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest on one thing about that. Bellingham does fit, but he needs to be in a replacement of one of these players. It can't be, for example, Arda Güler comes out because then you just lose your creative spark.
Yeah.
Camavinga, I really like because of his driving runs forward and what he does. Because Camavinga, may I remind you, is probably one of our most technical players on the team. The way he maneuvers the ball is sublime at times.
Yeah, he's very dynamic. He covers a hell of a lot of space, and he's very quick. And he's got that elasticity, those long legs, and sometimes he steals balls. I'm like, how the hell did he get to that ball? Like, it's like he'll turn his leg like around 360,
like a 90-degree angle.
Yeah, Camavinga is. In fact, when we see each other at the Benfica match, I'll wear my Camavinga. I bought Camavinga a couple of years ago. But yeah, the 4-4-2, I agree with you. I like it, and I like the diamond because the other night against Benfica, in the first few minutes, Arda was playing on the right. And we weren't really creating much of anything. But the second that he went to the middle and played the 10, all of a sudden we started to create stuff. And I just think it's his natural position, you know?
Exactly. Because when Arda goes in the center, obviously I mentioned it before, you have those flying right backs and left backs, or the flying right mid and left mid channel, where basically you have Camavinga and you have obviously Valverde overlapping as well. I do this sometimes on my tactical board when I go on and I show the direction, the path of these players. And it really interests me what Arbeloa is doing, because we didn't see this structure around Xabi Alonso. What we saw with Xabi Alonso was just pass, move, rotate the ball, lethargic, slow ball movement. Yes, we were slow against Benfica. However, there was direction to the play. There wasn't just passing it sideways and backwards for no entire reason. That's why I really got frustrated at Carlo last year, because the play looks so aging. It's so disgusting to watch at times. And Arbeloa has excited me in terms of what he's done. I'm very, very surprised. I'm super surprised. I'm shocked myself.
So many people would come on my comment section and say, well, you said that you want Xabi out. Changing the manager isn't going to change anything. You're still stuck with the same problems. And I said, not so fast. Not so fast. There are so many historic precedents where you remove the manager, and even if anybody else internally comes in and takes the place, even temporarily, but there are so many cases where you do get a positive reaction. And I think that we're seeing that now. So I have to give Arbeloa credit. And I mean, we're still kind of trying to wonder. We still don't know exactly what happened between, Xabi and the players. I've heard a lot of theories, but definitely something was wrong, because the second he left, now the players look a little bit looser and a little bit more energetic. So, something happened there. Okay, one thing I did wanted to ask you, because I was mentioning I absolutely love your passion in your videos. Who's your favorite player in the squad right now?
Favorite player in the squad right now? There is a range of them. I've got to admit, there is a range of them. For me personally, my players, I don't really look at forwards too much. I know Mbappe is getting the goals. I know Vini's alongside him. And for me personally, there's a player that has stood out amongst the rest in this season. And I've got to admit, it's Carreras.
Yeah.
I've got to admit, he has been very dynamic.
Yeah.
And he's been great on the pass. His forward play is excellent. Yeah. And we recruited him to be a left back. And that's what he does. That's his duty. Yeah. He defends really well. Because we were struggling for that last season. Yeah. We had makeshift defenses all around. And Carreras has been the steady constant across the whole season. And obviously Courtois, we know that.
Well, yeah,
we know Courtois is the guy.
Yeah,
He's probably the favorite in terms of obviously the old guard, should I call them? But I'll tell you what, Carreras has definitely stood out for me, and Valverde, as of recent, has got out of that horrible shell that he had with Xabi Alonso. Where he looked lost because look, we have to be honest. Fede is not the most gifted play on the ball when he's passing and moving. What Valverde's strengths is, he chases people down like a hungry dog. That's what he is.
He runs, and by the way, in the Benfica match, you're really going to notice it because when you watch it on the pitch, he runs so much. I agree with you on Carreras. I think I would have definitely mentioned Fede as well because, okay, you're right. He's not a technical guy. Like if he comes up the right wing and gets the ball, he's almost never going to take on the defender and try to dribble around him. That's not what he does. But his runs up the wing are unbelievable, and his backtracking is unbelievable. And he's just like box to box. He just has so much energy and brings so much to our play. Yeah, but I agree. Carreras has been really, I think, has been great. I mean, he's had a couple of matches here and there, but where he maybe was. But I agree.
It's not that many. 80% of the season he's been good.
Yeah,
that's the difference between the rest of the players. That's my standard.
Totally. And he's very technical. When he goes up, he knows how to do the 1-2s. He knows how to dribble around people.
Exactly.
He's technical. He's technical as well. So he defends, but he's technical. Very, very cool. And then, so in terms of we have to do this black and white, and the least favorite player or kind of the weakest link out of the 11, who would you say is kind of the weakest link?
Yeah.
Tough one.
It's a difficult one to pinpoint, and people may look at me like just lost in space at the moment, but I would probably look at a player that has been getting everything right in terms of his finishing in Mbappe, but sometimes he doesn't look like he joins with the team. I've got to be honest. There's something about Mbappe that I don't really understand.
I get it.
Wow. The guy gets his goals, but people say, "Oh, but Cristiano Ronaldo got the goals." But Cristiano Ronaldo was an elite passer of the football ball.
Oh, totally.
People don't realize. Like there's players. Like I think in terms of recent and looking at Vini and how he's playing, that yes, maybe Vini hasn't been the best over 2025. But he brings a directness that I like in the team. And I've always liked that. I'm just willing Vini to be a bit more, how can I say, just take a little bit more risks, not always allow the defender to show you on the outside. That's where your weaknesses are. Your strength is cutting in and absolutely blasting the net apart like he did against Benfica. That's what his strength is. So Mbappe doesn't really fit, but he gets the goals. So people will say, if Mbappe wasn't there, then who would get the goals? But you could probably say Gonzalo Garcia would get the goals, but he wouldn't be as ruthless maybe in front of the net as Mbappe. Mbappe has always been like that kind of character. And I tell you what, if somebody's going to score a penalty, I know Mbappe is definitely going to do it. Not Lamine Yamal, is it?
I know. So. I know. The other night when Vini had the two penalties. Everybody in this, we were kind of looking around because like the same people sit in the same areas, and we were looking at each other like, oh no, we didn't want to look. We're like, no, not Vini, please, not Vini. We were like, we all thought that he was going to miss one of them.
Madrid last year,
got him. It was like a huge sigh of relief, No, I agree, Kylian. It's hard to criticize him because he's technically so gifted and he scores so many goals.
It's not that he's bad. I think he's just a little bit out of place. He needs to find
he's a little bit out of place in the team. And very kind of individual. Like he dribbles a lot, and he does hold up the play a lot because he dribbles a lot. So sometimes he kind of slows things down because if he gets the ball outside of the box, he's going to bring it down. He's going to control it. He's going to try to dribble through people, and sometimes it slows the momentum down a little bit. But it's hard to criticize him.
Yeah, it's his perfect example. Every time I watch him on the pitch, when he tries to make a pass and move with a play, it very rarely pulls off. It just very rarely is. It doesn't look pretty to watch. There's something about Mbappe's style of play that doesn't sit right with me, where he passes on to another play. He makes the wrong run, and maybe because he's not a natural number 9, we know that. But look, he's been playing number 9 all of last year. He's playing number 9 this year. He should know the paths and the channels to make. Endrick knows the path and channel to make as a run, and Gonzalo Garcia knows those areas to make a run as well. So why can't Mbappe now? Look, for all of Mbappe's brilliance as well, like he has his weaknesses, but do you know what? Let him find his place. That's all I gotta say. Let him find his place. See what he can do in this team this year. See if he can win trophies this year with the team. La Liga mainly. That's what we want to go for. I think because of the Champions League is going to be a very difficult competition to win. But you never know with Real Madrid. So let's see if Mbappe can win La Liga with Real Madrid. Because if there are matches that I saw him, like for example Vallecano, he scored the penalty, but Lord forgive me, but this guy was horrid through the whole match. And it's something not sitting right with him and Vini. They show a good relationship off the pitch. They do. And on the pitch as well. But
the only thing is, like, I don't mind. Look, I don't mind if my wingers dribble, because my wingers are supposed to dribble. The wingers are the guys that are supposed to dribble because there's so much space behind the defenders that they have in front of them. But when my number 9 gets the ball in the middle of and starts dribbling, like, that's not. It's not. I don't know. I just think that the number 9 should be a sort of 1-2 touch type. Try to finish or circulate the ball quickly. So, but Kylian tends to hold it. He tends to hold it and sometimes dribble a little bit unnecessarily in spaces where.
It's the fact that I keep on saying this is that when you look at Mbappe and he's screaming for the ball outside the box. He goes like this. He goes, why didn't you give me here? I'm gonna say Mbappe. You're supposed to be inside. You're supposed to be in the box.
And
when did you ever see Benzema on most occasions outside the box? The only time he was doing that when he was trying to link up the play, but he was get the ball, move on. Get the ball, move on.
That's exactly what I was going to say. What Karim would do is if he comes out to get a touch on the ball, he'll release it very quickly. Whereas Kylian will come out, get the ball, but he won't. He'll turn around and try to dribble through people. Benzema would just like release it and then go
run in the box.
And totally. No, I completely agree. Will you venture to give a prediction for tomorrow? What do you think? Do you reckon we win?
I said we will win. I said that we will win 2-0. I think that Osasuna, they're a great team in terms of how they defensively shape up. In attack, they offer not very much, I think, in terms of how they maneuver the ball. They're a very solid defensive team, and we just need Real Madrid to, I would say, just play exactly the same way that you played against Benfica away. Exactly the same mentality, exactly the same philosophy, where you're going to break them down eventually. Just have flying wingers overlapping, create overloads in the final third, have 5 players in the box ready to attack it. And then you can actually have chances on goal where you can beat Osasuna. And we know it's away from home. A very tough place to go to.
It's a tough stadium. It's not a big stadium, but it puts a lot of pressure on the players.
As well. Hostile. Very good fans also.
Very hostile.
Like very hostile in terms of what the fans create. If I would rank fans in Spain, I'll probably put Betis at number 1, because Betis fans, they rock the stadium completely. Bilbao, obviously, because their history with the club, and they are superb fans for their own club. Osasuna, I think, is definitely up there in terms of how they create the hostility around Vallecano. Vallecas is a crazy stadium to go to, because nobody knows what they're going to get there. And
this is very true.
And when you go to the big stadium like Bernabeu, it's like the fans are great. There's something that bothers me a lot about the Real Madrid fans. I've got to be honest. It's not.
It has
there, man.
You are so right about this. Historically, the Bernabeu was. By the way, that's why Florentino put the grada de animación behind the southern goal, because he kicked out the ultras, and the ultras were the only guys making any noise. If you went to a Real Madrid match and you didn't count what's behind the southern goal, it's like my friends would say, dude, this is like going to the opera. Everybody just sits there quietly and gets really pissed off at their own players if they miss 2 passes. but it didn't have that sort of come on energy, except in really big occasions. Like the Bernabeu is a snobby. Now you have a lot more tourists and stuff like that, but it does have a kind of snobby element. Like Madridista is very critical. Like we whistle our own players. Like that doesn't happen anywhere. But the Bernabeu knows when it needs to switch on. And if it's a Champions League return leg and you've got 15 minutes left and you need a goal or 2 goals, it is the most electric thing that you've ever experienced in your life. I swear it's paranormal. I'm not kidding. It feels paranormal. It's incredible. Yeah. But I agree with you that generally speaking, the Bernabeu was a little bit snooty, we're like a little bit entitled. Yeah.
I mentioned it the other day that it was, I think Real Madrid has stepped into it. Obviously, when you have your diehard Real Madrid fans, and then you have the casuals that come for tourists and they wear the shirts and they go to the store and look, that's fan base.
Yeah, that's great.
A lot of football clubs. It obviously generates income for Real Madrid.
Sure.
Obviously, that feeds into the growth of the actual team itself throughout the year-on-year basis. Great, because Real Madrid are self-profiting clubs, so they basically whatever's invested in basically gets bought out in terms of players and obviously facilities and so forth. So Real Madrid needs to be a place where I say, yes, you have your casuals, but if I'm there, and I went to several matches this year and done watch-alongs inside the stadium, and I'm there shouting out.
I know.
What are you doing?
I know, and everyone's like, shh, be quiet.
Yeah,
like, I know. It's
like
the Bernabeu has always been like. It's always been.
God bless these two. They must have been in their late.
Yeah. Well, that's why. Thank God that thank God that the Grada de Animación is there, because Florentino gave all these people abonos, so they all get to go to every game. But the one rule is they have to wear a white shirt and they have to sing nonstop. And they're the ones that really create the energy. But if they weren't there, it would be pretty quiet. It's really weird. It's really weird. Unless, like I say, unless it's these really, really important moments, and those are the ones that really you never forget for the rest of your life, because the electricity. You feel this kind of connection between the stadium and the players, and it's so powerful. And you can see the other team. Like, you can just see the other team going, oh, shit. Like, you can feel that they're going, oh, my God, what is happening? Like, we're going to die. Yeah. Like, and you can see it in the eyes of the other team. But that happens selectively.
Yeah, when I go to, I used to obviously go to the stadium, but I used to sometimes get the tickets up in the gods. You're upwards. And you're looking down, and it's literally like you're just seeing like small players on the pitch, and you can't really make it out, because that's what the players feel. A lot of stadiums, they're built maybe maximum 5-6 tiers. I think another stadium that does this, like the Bernabeu, is the San Siro, where they have multiple tiers, like going into the heavens. So that's the situation. When you're up in the gods, you can't really see much, but players, they do feel it, because they look around the stadium and it's feeling it's absolutely
daunting. Yeah, and it's very vertical. Like the Bernabeu is very, very vertical. It's like like the Camp Nou is very open, like wide.
Yeah,
the Bernabeu is really vertical. Like everybody's like on top of the pitch.
Yeah.
So
I think had to cancel a watch along because I had vertigo. I actually had vertigo because I chose the sector 801 or something. It was absolutely crazy. I was like, no, I had to stand in. I was like. And I was like, what's going on? Not afraid of heights or anything, but vertigo is different.
The second and third amphitheaters and the fourth are really, really vertical.
Yeah. Don't worry, we're going next week. So it's good.
We're going in. I think you're going in door 45. We're going to be right next to each other. So it'll be a lot of fun. I'll let you do all your recording, but it'll be really fun. Let me ask you this. The Champions League is my obsession. It is my obsession. It is in my mind, a million times more important than anything else. Like,
yes.
Well, and this year, realistically, I don't know what our chances, 5%, 10%, like where do you see it?
If you ask me this similar question, 8 games ago,
right.
I would have said no chance. I would have said Arsenal are too good, Bayern Munich are too good, Man City are too good. Like Man City didn't even have their burners on, and they they still beat us at the Bernabeu.
Yeah.
So, like, Man City are too good. You have PSG also, who can be rampant at times in terms of how they produce on the pitch. But if you ask me that now, and I look at, so the main rival that I look at in this whole Champions League, and I'm sorry, I've got to say it.
Yeah,
it's Arsenal again.
Yeah, I agree.
I've got to say them. They have to be the rival this Champions League, especially if we get through to the knockouts, which we should do, and we do have a chance to face Sporting or Man City. Ideally, I want to face either Sport. I want to face Sporting,
of course,
because I think we'll have a better chance than that.
Yeah,
it depends on the draw as well, because I fancy Real Madrid's chances more against Bayern Munich than Arsenal. Not in attack, but just in defense. And Arsenal have been turning up this Champions League for so many matches. So, and recently in Premier League, look, I've got to say it right here. The Premier League is conditioning these teams to go far in the Champions League this season in particular.
Absolutely.
The Premier League is so difficult to override any team. Yeah. You would see Arsenal walking La Liga at the moment. I've got to say, they would walk La Liga.
I completely agree. The EPL, look, the EPL has always had a higher level of intensity physically, but this year, for some reason, the difference looks even bigger. Like, when I watch the EPL this year, I'm like, holy crap. These guys are running. They play with so much intensity and physicality.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, dude, I'm like, in La Liga, they would just like eat half the teams alive. Yeah. I mean, so I'm worried about the English clubs. I think Arsenal definitely top of that list.
City as well.
But the English sides look really strong to me. And of course, you know, PSG and Bayern Munich always have to be there. I think in terms of what's that?
UEFA. They're going to be giving us Man City in the quarters. I'm
sure.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And Saffron doesn't like us very much.
I've got to say, right. Also, if you look at the expenditure from the Premier League clubs, Nottingham Forest have spent more than Real Madrid and Barcelona combined. This is ridiculous. Yeah, we have all the top 10 teams in the expenditure list as of the transfer fixtures. They've spent more than all the multiple
it's
million.
Incredible.
More, yeah. So when I look at it, I say, okay, Javier Tebas, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
You're supposed to be making La Liga go this way, but in actuality, you're making La Liga go into the depths.
I could not agree more.
Absolutely ruining La Liga.
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally agree.
When we're looking at this, the rules in place, everything about transfers. Come on, you're now deeming teams like Sevilla, teams like Villarreal, you're crushing Betis. These teams, you're literally putting them in the depths of like a prison or something. These teams are ingrained in Spanish history.
Totally.
And we need these teams to be good in Europa League and stuff. So for the coefficient of UEFA, you're going to see Spain drop into like fifth in the coefficient.
Absolutely.
Because they're not good anymore. Villarreal finished second from bottom in the Villarreal.
And look at Valencia. Valencia is a club that made it to 2 Champions League finals. Yeah. And Valencia used to be very, very competitive.
Look at La Coruña as well. The same. They're going back up as well. They're trying to come back up this season. La Coruña in Segunda. So hopefully they can. So these kind of teams, they are ingrained in Spanish history. Yeah. So what are you doing, Tebas? Honestly, this guy is an utter. Totally. He doesn't have no business sense.
I totally agree. And you know what? The guy makes more money than the presidents of all the other leagues in Europe. Our refs, for example, make more money than refs in the EPL and the Bundesliga. How the hell? What are we doing? Why are these people making so much? Like, something is definitely not right.
Corruption at its highest level in Spain. I honestly, everything that goes around, obviously, the whole Barcelona situation at the moment, and obviously Real Madrid, Barcelona and Real Madrid. For all that we loathe Barcelona, we detest them. The situation is that in some aspects, and obviously Real Madrid fans would agree in some portion, that Barcelona need to be at somewhat a competitive level in Europe because it helps Spain.
Of course.
And you need the other teams also in Spain also to be competitive, where Villarreal were reaching quarters and your Coruña's beating Milan and all these things. This is what we want to see.
It's good. It's good for us. It keeps us sharp. Yeah.
Exactly. And we don't want to see Real Madrid getting knocked out in the quarterfinals if we like we used to. Because that's I don't want to see that again. Round of 16s after the last bit of Perez's reign, where we were getting battered in the round of 16 in Champions League. This is going down that route, and we need to rekindle that, where Spain is a powerhouse in Europe. We're reaching Europa League finals, and we're reaching the Conference League final, and we reach the Champions League final as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you look at the, I think I did this in one of my videos. I put up all the numbers in the last 25 years. Since we have the new format, Spanish clubs have completely dominated not just the Champions League, but the Europa League. So Spanish clubs historically are the most successful clubs in European competition. But I agree with you that I am seeing a decline, in a very generalized decline in the competitive level of Spanish squad, La Liga, especially with respect to English clubs, and that worries me a lot. I completely agree.
It does, and it really doesn't bode well for Spanish clubs, because when we look at it, facilities. If you go to Vallecas, it looks literally like a metro station. I'm not gonna lie. It just like you go to Betis is being, obviously Villarreal is quite like Las Hermicas is a nice stadium. Yeah. But several clubs are Mestalla looks completely run down. Yeah. No wonder Valencia are going down, because they have no investment. It's always just basically around Spain, apart from Real Madrid, who can invest millions upon even billions to regenerate and refurbish their stadium, which they still need to repay. And then you have Barcelona, who are going to end up in flipping. How much debt are they going to be in Barcelona after their stadium repairs?
I had this conversation.
Ridiculous.
I had this conversation with a Barca supporter friend of mine, and I said, in a really weird way, you guys are smart, because if you owe me $100, I own you. If you owe me 10 billion, you own me. And this is sort of like what Trump did with banks in the US. It's like, I owe you so much money that you cannot afford to let me slip. Like, if I need to refinance my debt, you have no choice but to give me a refinancing of the debt, because it's so much money that I will bring you down single-handedly. So they owe so much money that there's no choice, but you got to keep refinancing them.
Yeah,
crazy.
One thing I do really hold Perez in really high regard is the business acumen of him as president for this club. It is fantastic. Obviously, with with Calderon and Sanz before that as well, before Florentino Perez, like Real Madrid weren't best financially. They didn't appeal to brands and so forth. But now they're the brand of football.
Oh, absolutely.
And if Real Madrid, like you mentioned, why the Champions League is so important, is because this, and obviously the rival being Arsenal, we cannot allow ourselves, if we do get into that situation again where we do face Arsenal, allow them to beat us again.
That would be so painful. I mean, we were joking on text, just this is for the audience, you and I were texting before, that I would rather be eliminated in the semis or quarterfinals than to lose a final. The one thing that keeps me up very late at night is the idea of one day losing a final, which has not happened since I was 13 years old. And that is my biggest fear. Like, I'd rather be eliminated earlier. It would kill me. It would kill me. It would destroy.
Does Liverpool ring in your ears a little bit?
Yes, that 1981. From a throw-in. That traumatized me. But we've won 9. The 9 finals since then. We've won them all, and I don't remember what it feels like to lose a final, and I don't want to. It's my biggest fear.
The Super Cup, but nobody cares about that.
Yeah, that's like I can live with that. But
Barcelona fans can hold the Super Cup if they want to, mate. We'll be looking at much bigger things at the end of the season.
Exactly. Well, listen, man, I've really, really enjoyed having you on. Like I say, I love your content and I love your passion, and I'm excited to meet you in person. So I want to just repeat it for anybody watching this. Dave Talks Madrid. Subscribe to the channel, and also I know that you're going to be doing a lot of very cool content going forward because you're going to be here, sort of interviewing people. Like I saw the state. You're going to be adding a lot of content to your channel, so I really recommend everybody subscribe. But listen, thank you so much for coming on and for your time. I really appreciate it, and I'm really looking forward to meeting your brother.
Absolutely, you too. And I'll just spin around to see my favorite player of all time. Fernando.
Oh, there he is. Redondo.
My guy, mate. El Príncipe, mate. The guy, mate.
That little back heel at Old Trafford. Oh, my God. Oh, that's
when Zidane was looking at him in the final of Juventus, when we had Juppé as manager, Zidane was looking at him like, what is this kind of player on? He was he made Zidane spin in circles. This guy, that's amazing. That takes me to
that's a very, very good choice, young man. Very good choice.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, listen, thank you for joining me, and I hope we can do this again. And I'll see you in a few days.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right,
Take
brother.
care, guys. A la Madrid, people. A la Madrid.
A la Madrid. See ya.